Hello friends, welcome to another Ask a Bhante. I have a question from James. I have a question, is Buddhism a religion? I know this question is debated, but until recently I hadn't given it much thought because to me it certainly seems to be a religion, at least the way I do it, which makes me wonder if I'm doing something wrong. I ask because in a Zoom session a respected Thai forest teacher said it isn't, and I have since seen bhikkhus seemingly agree. I was very surprised, maybe even a bit deflated. I guess I assumed they would say it is. Any thoughts you might offer on this would be appreciated. So James, my first kind of inclination is I wonder if these are like Western ajahns or if they're Thai ajahns, because it's funny. I would not suspect that if you speak to the average Sri Lankan or Thai or Burmese Buddhist, that they're not going to call it a religion. And I think that if you take an anthropology course, you're going to see that, yes, Buddhism is definitely a religion. I think one of the issues is that Westerners have a conception of what religion is, and it's connected to the Abrahamic religions. So we think that a religion means there has to be a God, right? And you have to believe in a God. So we're kind of stuck in this framework. But this is not the case. If you look at all the different religious traditions in the world, there's lots of variety. There's lots of different views and beliefs and things like that, and they're religions. Religion, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's a creator God, right? So there's that aspect of it. Then the other aspect of it is that a lot of Westerners, maybe they came from a religion, Christianity, Judaism, whatever, and they want to have some kind of practice, but they don't want to call it a religion. This is why this new phrase that's come up is called, I'm spiritual, but not religious, right? Or what they mean is, I'm religious, but I just don't want to call it religious because it has a bad taste in my mouth, right? As in the West, we have this bad taste with religion. Religion is the opium of the masses. Religion is for stupid people who believe in stupid spaghetti monsters in the sky and things like that, right? So there's this concept of what a religion is. And, I say this as somebody who went through this, right? When I left Christianity, I wasn't atheist. I've always been agnostic. But I do, I went through these kind of phases as well of not wanting to think that I'm going to be part of another religion and things like that. So this is a common phrase. This is a common thing, I think, that happens. And unfortunately, I think another common thing that happens is that monastics who are sharing Dhamma in the West, and this goes for Western monastics, born Buddhist, heritage Buddhist monastics, there's a tendency to kind of explain things away or make things easier, for the person who, for that Westerner or that, non-Buddhist person who's learning about Buddhism, right? You kind of like, well, no, I mean, it kind of doesn't mean this, and it kind of doesn't, this and that. You're kind of like wavering, and I don't think that actually helps. I don't think that helps people. I think it makes things worse. I love Ajahn Chah. Ajahn Chah said, one of the things that he said was, when teaching Dhamma in the West, we should not dumb down the Dhamma or harm the Dhamma in our teachings. We should really, give it straight. No matter, we don't want to make it try to say, I'm not going to really talk about rebirth and, because I know you have troubles with that and, all these kind of things. Now, that being said, there is a way to talk about these things that people don't feel like they're being sermonized, right? This is something that, I have tried to develop and have a skill in, that I don't hold back. I will talk about karma. I will talk about rebirth. I will talk about all of these things, right? Tough topics from a Buddhist perspective, because I feel like I feel like it's the best thing for those people to know these things, right? Instead of kind of, well, this teacher said this, and then they go into like a temple and they're like all these other things that are totally different, right? And then they say, oh, well, we don't like these are the religious Buddhists, these kind of things. So, and the other aspect I would say in terms of understanding this is that not everybody who comes to Buddhism is or will be a Buddhist, right? When I lived at Bhavana for 5.5 years, met thousands of people, did, led and taught in something like 70 retreats, 50, 60 plus, 70 is me also traveling to do retreats, but like, at least 50 or 60 retreats over 5 years, 10 to 12 retreats a year. That I coordinated and, that I also taught in after, once I became a bhikkhu, and met thousands of people. Not all those people were Buddhists or looking to become Buddhists or looking to have a religion, right? So everybody is kind of like on their path. And some people will be, I want to be Christian and a Buddhist, Jewish and a Buddhist. I like the philosophy of Buddhism, so I'm just going to take from there. So different people are taking different things from Buddhism. But that doesn't mean that it's not a religion. Like, this is very important. This is an important thing to understand. It is a religion. What we have to do is examine and investigate our biases, our thoughts, our conceptions of what religion is. Then you'll realize, there's way more room in this term religion than Creator God, Bible, prayers, and church, right? This is what we think of when we think religion. That's because we don't know the world. Right? If you know the world and you know the diversity of religion and tradition in the world, then you don't get wrapped up in that. So yes, I would say it's a religion. I would also say that monastics saying it's not is doing a disservice to people. You can say it is a religion and also, just like what I just said, like understand that there are people who are on different paths. And not every one of those paths will lead somebody to being an actual full-on Buddhist. And some people like to do the kind of like spiritual window shopping and mixing and matching. I'll do a little Hinduism, a little Christianity, a little Kabbalah, a little Buddhism, these kind of things. And, that's their path. But yes, I would not hesitate to say that Buddhism is a religion. And I do have a concern of teachers dumbing down things or minimizing things or not speaking about important Buddhist things for the benefit of their, Western or non-Buddhist, Buddhist convert or questioning people. This is very important that we, as teachers, make sure that people understand everything and understand that there's, outside of Buddhist countries and stuff, there's room for all kinds of paths. So people can, if somebody just wants to make it it's just a spiritual path, it's just this, it's just a philosophy, it's just that, they can. That doesn't mean that is what it is, or that's all what it is. It's just what they are taking from it. Right, to close out, the Buddha's stated goal was essentially to create a religion. Right? The Buddha's stated goal was to create what he called the Dhamma Vinaya, right? The teaching and the discipline, and to create the community, the fourfold assembly. Lay people and monastics, men and women, and lay men and monastic men and women, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis, lay men and women. Right? These fourfold assembly. So he created the society, he created the group that would practice and pass on the teachings, and he created the discipline and the doctrine. And setting those in motion, then he had his parinibbana and he moved on. Right? So the Buddha specifically set out to create what we would in modern days call a religion. Right? Something that would grow, something that would last, for thousands of years. That was his purpose. And he told Mara that he would not leave until he did that, until he set that in motion. So I think that's all I have to say on this topic. Thank you very much, friends, for putting forth these questions. So if you have a question, please type it in the chat or type it in the comments below. Even if it's not a question that maybe you already know the answer, but you think it would be a good thing for me to make a video about it, then put the question in the comments below or send it to me some other way. So thank you very much, friends. Sukhi Hotu, may you be happy.